Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners this July 16, 2015. I'll ask Mr. Krupp, our County Administrator, to take the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joining us this evening is County Counsel Stephen Madcourt, and also to my left and to your right is Kevin Moss, who is serving as your clerk of the board tonight.
Interim, huh? Yeah.
So I'll start with the roll. Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Bernard. Here. Commissioner Smith. Here. Chair Ludlow.
Here. You all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll announce that the board will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority Board for the next item. I'd like to introduce, as he's already been in the role, but our Housing Authority Commissioner, Paul Reynolds, to my left.
Thank you.
So I'll ask the clerk to read the Housing Authority consent agenda by title.
Thank you. We have approval to respond to the Meyer Memorial Trust request for proposals for their Affordable Housing Initiative Services and Housing Systems Alignment Grant Program, approval to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Housing and Community Development's Home Program for tenant-based rental assistance to low-income households, and that concludes the Housing Authority consent agenda.
All right, Commissioner Reynolds.
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Reynolds with the motion, Commissioner Bernard with the second. Further discussion? Anybody want to pull any of the items? All right, Mr. Moss.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Commissioner Reynolds, you're excused. Thank you very much for coming for such a short item.
Thank you very much.
All right, I announce the board will adjourn as the Housing Authority Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners for the remainder of the meeting. So now it's a time for citizens' communication. I have a card here from Mr. Steve Bates.
Good evening, Chair Ludlow and Commissioners. I'm Steve Bates from Boring, Oregon, and I'm here representing the Boring, Oregon Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3 organization that was founded for the purpose of funding a community center for the greater Boring area. There's a brochure next to your seats that was given out earlier. The Boring, Oregon Foundation will be hosting, actually sponsoring, Boring and Dole Day, a community social in the park on August the 9th. That's 3 weeks from this Sunday. And I've been asked to invite each of the commissioners to come and attend. I communicated with Administrator Krupp and requested that it be put on your agenda or on your calendar so that you all can attend and have a good time with us. Just for a reminder, it was 3 years ago that this body, the Clackamas County Board of County Commissioners, proclaimed that every August the 9th was to be a Boring and Dull Day. In 2013, the Oregon State Legislature passed a law that stated Boring and Dole, Boring, Oregon, and Dole, Scotland were a pair for the ages, and every August 9th will be Boring and Dole Day. So to celebrate our state holiday, we will start at about 5 o'clock with free ice cream in the Boring Station Trailhead Park. And we will have free ice cream. There will be bagpipes and drums starting at about 5:15. At 6 o'clock, Boy Scout Troop 212 from Damascus will present the colors. We'll salute our flag. We'll salute our veterans. And then we will have a brief ceremony involving the people who have been to Dole, and Ron Rudy and the Hurricanes will take over the evening and finish up with a grand evening of rock and roll. So I invite each and every one of you to come, and everybody in Clackamas County is welcome to come as well. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard.
I just want to comment that I was there, was it last year, the Thunder and Lightning?
That was the first one.
Okay, it was, we were all a little bit frightened.
Yes.
That is the same weekend as the AOC, Association of Oregon Counties Conference. I know John's going to be at your event, I think.
Yep.
So I appreciate the invitation. I hope they'll change the date of AOC conference next year, but I'm on a board there and I have to attend, so thank you for the invite.
You bet.
He just gave me permission to speak for the board at this event. I just can't wait. So, Commissioner Schrader.
Well, I also just wanted to echo what Jim said, that I know that I'm scheduled to be there because I'm a member of a number of committees, and I was disappointed to see that the date coincided with Boring and Dull Day. So
That might happen every year if you think about
I
it.
hope not.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put that on my calendar as Boring and Dull Day. Please reserve.
The 9th or close there. So if the 9th lands on a Wednesday, what day are you going to have it?
If August the 9th falls on a Wednesday, it will be August the 9th. Every August the 9th is Boring and Dole Day. So
Day is the day. It's
so,
a holiday, as you called it, right?
Yes, it's a state holiday.
Yeah.
A governor signed a bill.
Was that called, excuse me, it had some kind of award, what legislative award did that?
Is it a Sister Celia Award?
No, but I mean,
It was the Grand Turkey Award
I
of the
said something about
legislative
turkey.
session of 2013.
Grand Turkey Award.
go.
Hey, it passed. It wasn't too much of a turkey, so well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. And now, a board discussion item. Mr. Krupp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a board discussion item to consider a resolution affirming equal pay for women. I'm going to invite Mr. Gary Schmidt to give you a report.
Yes, Commissioners, good evening. Commissioner Schrader brought forward to your consideration earlier this year a draft resolution in the matter of affirming equal pay for women in Clackamas County. You discussed this several times during your work sessions earlier this year, and last month on June 9th, you did agree to bring forward to a future business meeting, which is now tonight, a draft resolution for your consideration affirming equal pay for women in Clackamas County. The resolution you have in your packet, and I will not read it tonight, but it does talk about, in many cases, the disparity between pay for men and women across the nation based on statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau, the Pew Research Center, and the American Association for University Women. The resolution concludes, though, by saying that the Board of County Commissioners resolves to affirm equal pay for women in Clackamas County and across the nation, and to encourage other public and private sector organizations to do the same. So this is a resolution for your consideration this evening.
All right. So do any of the commissioners have any clarifying questions of the presenter? Why don't we ask for a motion first?
Okay. I move we approve the resolution affirming equal pay for women.
I second.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bernard, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Commissioner Bernard, did you have something to say
Well, I
first?
just thought that it might be appropriate. It's pretty short to maybe read it.
I don't think there's any problem with that. Who should we get to do that?
I think
Yeah, I wonder if
Commissioner
Martha-
Schrader might.
Martha,
wanna consider-
perfect. Got other candidates, but you win.
I mean, we have so much business to do tonight.
Yes, I don't know.
I know. Well, thank you for that, colleagues, because I think that this is an important issue, and I really appreciate your trust in me in bringing this forward.
After the housing.
Actually, but I have to find it here.
It's after the housing, Martha. Here.
Yep, Housing Authority, Board of Commissioners.
There you go.
There you go, thank you.
You loaned yours, huh? All right.
Ah, I found it. Okay, but you loaned me yours. Whereas, a resolution in the matter of affirming equal pay for women. Whereas, more than 50 years after the passage of the Equal Pay Act, many women continue to experience the consequences of unequal pay. And whereas, women working full-time year-round in 2013 typically earned 78% of what men earned, indicating little change or progress in pay equity. And whereas, many women are the primary breadwinners in their households, and nearly 2/3 are primary or significant earners, making pay equity critical to economic security. And whereas, even after accounting for factors known to affect earnings, such as occupation, college major, and hours worked, a 7% pay gap persists between male and female college graduates just 1 year after graduation. And whereas the wage gap between women and men exists across a spectrum of occupations, and whereas a lifetime of lower pay means women have less income to save for retirement and less income counted in a Social Security or pension benefit formula, and whereas fair pay equity policies can be implemented simply and without undue costs or hardship in both the public and private sectors. Now, therefore, the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners do hereby resolve as follows: to affirm equal pay for women in Clackamas County and across the nation, and to encourage other public and private sector organizations to do the same, dated the 16th day of July, 2015. And I think this is so important because many of us have daughters, many of us have women in our family, and that we want to make sure as we move into the 21st century that our children have the opportunity when they're educated and move forward and assert themselves to have equal pay.
Grandchildren, too.
Grandchildren. I think this is something that is really for prosperity as well. So thank you, colleagues, for supporting this. I appreciate it.
Not a worry, Martha.
Okay.
I think everybody should know out there that we definitely did question our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, Director Emmett Wheatfall, about how things sit in Clackamas County. And he was quick to say that we have equal pay in our county, and I'm proud to say that about our county. All we can do is encourage others to do the same, and that's exactly what this resolution does. Further discussion or comments?
No.
Kevin?
All right. Commissioner Bernard,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 4-0. All right, and now I'll ask the clerk to read the consent agenda by title.
Under our Department of Health, Housing, and Human Services, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Oregon Department of Human Services Aging and People with Disabilities Division for the provision of services to Clackamas County residents age 60 and over. Number 2, approval of an intergovernmental subrecipient agreement with the City of Sandy, Sandy Senior and Community Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents age 60 and over. Number 3, approval of an agency services contract with Northwest Family Services, Inc. for family navigation and alcohol and drug services. Number 4, approval of an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the State of Oregon Department of Human Services for strengthening, preserving, and reunifying families program services. Number 5, approval of an intergovernmental grant agreement with the State of Oregon through its Department of Education for Focused Child Care Network Services, approval of a professional services agreement with Youth Move Oregon for a drop-in center and peer support. Under the elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes, approval of amendment number 2 to the intergovernmental agreement between Metro, the City of Portland, and Clackamas County Sheriff's Office for transit police services. Under our Juvenile Department, approval of intergovernmental agreement with the State of Oregon by and through Oregon Youth Authority for an individualized service fund providing wrap-around service for youth and families. Under Water Environmental Services, approval of Amendment Number 1 between Tri-City Service District and the MWH Americas, Inc. for the Willamette Pump Station Rehabilitation and Conveyance System. Number 2, approval and adoption of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County's Service District Number 1 and the City of Happy Valley for the Happy Valley Park Stream Stabilization Project, and that concludes the consent agenda.
All right, Commissioners, you want to remove any items on there? Otherwise, I'll call for a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? All right, Kevin?
All right. Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard,
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 4-0. And now, the man who has traveled a great deal lately, Mr. Krupp, our county administrator, for his update.
So I dare say, Mr. Chair, we are approaching what may be a
World record time, huh?
meeting time, I say. But I do have a few items to share with you, and the first is congratulations to our employees in Health, Housing, and Human Services for setting a new record during its recently concluded food drive. This annual effort is hosted by our staff from Health, Housing, and Human Services, and in all this year, they donated the equivalent of 34,800 pounds of food. That's more than 17 tons to the Oregon Food Bank. And this is the largest amount that's been raised in the food drive since it started in 2009. So congratulations to our staff in Health, Housing,
And our
and Human
floor
Services.
did our share too, by God.
Well, I was about to get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, because kudos to our own administration and the Board of County Commissioners, because we participated and coordinated the drive on the 4th floor of this building and raised an equivalent of 780 pounds of food for the
Wow.
Oregon Food Bank. So thanks to everybody on the 4th floor who helped to make that happen. So then the other item I have is just information for the public who may be listening to the program, and that is that yesterday our Board of County Commissioners and the Metro Council held a joint work session here on the county campus. That discussion revolved around the current state of the county's economic landscape and how Metro and the county can work together so we can achieve our economic development objectives here in Clackamas County. I thought the meeting was productive and successful, but my main reason in bringing it up is that I want the public to know that if they're interested in listening to the meeting, we do have the full audio of the meeting available on the county website from the Board of County Commissioners webpage located at www.clackamas.edu.
I'm sure it'll be one of the biggest hits out there, right?
It may well be. So it's going to go viral. So. And I have another thing to share with you. I received a letter, a copy of a letter to Dana Lord, who directs our health department. And Ms. Lord received this letter from Douglas Lyon, MD here in Clackamas County. He says, Ms. Lord, I am writing this note of both personal and professional gratitude to Clackamas County during my recent periods of quarantine for Ebola after returning from West Africa. This occurred during the fall of 2014. He was there during the fall of 2014 and also the spring of 2015. As a physician, an epidemiologist, and a county resident returning from work in an Ebola treatment center, I have several perspectives with which to review and opine on my county experience. Your staff were professional, proactive, courteous, and attentive to detail. They reached out to me early before I was actually back in Oregon. When I arrived, they clearly explained the monitoring and referral system and then persisted to ensure that we had contact twice a day during the period of my quarantine. I'd like to thank you and your staff for their hard work. As an epidemiologist, I am pleased with the rigor and thoroughness of your team. It's this kind of good, solid, hard work that will prevent the spread in the advent of a case showing up in the region. My specific and very special thanks to Amy Flattix, Elizabeth Baca, Sarah Present, in addition to Mr. Paul Lewis. Please let me know. He offers if at some point in time we'd like to get a presentation on his work on Ebola.
If they don't
across
have
the world.
pictures, I guess that'd be all right.
He'd be willing to come there and share at least share his experiences there. So I wanted to share that with you. Congratulations to
Very
the
nice.
staff there in our health department for the work they do.
Very nice. Is that the conclusion?
That is the conclusion.
Thank you. And now it's time for Commissioners' communication. I'll start with Commissioner Schrader.
Well, I will tell you, I just landed here in Oregon at 4 p.m. Had to fight traffic to just drop off suitcases at home at 5 p.m. and fought a little bit of traffic attempting to get here almost at 6 p.m. Where I was, and I've been up since about 4 this morning because I had to travel from North Carolina, Charlotte, all the way back here, and had some problems with the planes. I was supposed to fly through Dallas and had to get rerouted through Chicago. So it was, it's okay, I made
They're
it.
right next to each other.
I know they are, but there you go, I don't know. So ended up going from North Carolina to Chicago, and from Chicago here, and got in at about 4. The reason I was gone is I was actually attending the National Association of Counties Conference, and I am on a number of committees there, and I will next week give our folks some details about it, but I attended the County Community Economic Development Board and committee meetings. I also attended the Veterans and Military Service Committee meeting. I'm a member of the International Economic Development Task Force meeting, and that's an ad hoc committee that works with export and import initiatives for the counties and nationally. I am a member of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee, and we came forward with our 2015-16 platform and resolutions for what we are going to be lobbying at the national level with our federal delegation. I also attended the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee, the Housing Subcommittee meeting, and I just do that because I'm not a particular member of that committee, but it does help us understand what the housing needs are for our counties. The main meeting that I am a member of is the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee, Economic and Workforce Development Joint Subcommittee meeting. I was the vice chair of that committee, and then attended the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee meeting, and again, that's where we talk about platforms. That's where we come out with resolutions about what we are going to asking our federal delegation to continue and fund. Specifically, one of the key pieces of information I found out at our Economic and Workforce meeting was that the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker, announced yesterday that the Pacific Northwest Manufacturing Partnership was selected as one of the 12 new federally recognized manufacturing communities under the Investing in Manufacturing Communities Partnership Initiative administered by the U.S. Economic Development Administration. We won this designation by competing with other communities throughout the nation. And it rewards partnership and coordination through coordinated support for manufacturing strategies in our area. And Clackamas County was a part of that strategy with our partners here in the region, includes the City of Eugene, Oregon Best, Work Systems, Inc., our own Work System Board here, Business Oregon, Microtechnologies Institute, David Porter of the EDA, the City of Springfield, Lane County, and Clackamas County. So that is essentially an initiative that will pull together strategies, because we are a manufacturing region, to make sure that we remain competitive not only locally but internationally as well. So just for the purposes of this meeting tonight, I thought I'd mention that. And colleagues, next week I will have my notes, which are sitting in my suitcase as we speak, to maybe go through some more particulars for you during one of our policy sessions. So I'm glad to be back. I'm a little little jet lagged, but, you know, glad I could make it here, particularly, again, thanking you for the resolution for equal pay for women.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard.
There we go.
Well, I had an opportunity to attend a workforce meeting in Wilsonville and participate with others, talking about how WICO, which has a new name and I can't remember what it is.
Workforce partnership?
Yeah, something like
Workforce
that.
Clackamas partnership?
Yeah, I think
something
that's
like
right.
that.
Anyway, about how they could really let people know who they are and communicate better and be a resource. And one of those things that we talked about is if somebody is opening a business or thinking about opening a business, is to be able to look at an app and maybe determine, does Clackamas County or the particular community have the workforce they might be looking for? But of course, that group also plans and works with Clackamas Community College to make sure that people get the training they need. It's also in partnership with some other departments in our county. Also heard on the radio the other day a voice familiar to all of us, and that's Jay Wilson.
Yeah, heard him today.
You heard him today?
Yeah, on OPB.
Oh, really? I heard him the other day. You know, I'm very proud of how some of our staff, you know, reaches beyond their job to do many other things with not only the state but with the country. And he serves on the Oregon Seismic Safety Policy Advisory Committee, which I believe he is the chair. And he's also serves on as a fellow in the Disaster Resilience National Institute. And, you know, I'm pretty proud of the work he does. And I think it's important that we recognize him. He works for our Emergency Services Department. And we've had many meetings with him. But one of the things, I was at a meeting the other day, and somebody said, you know, one of the comments about this new article about the disaster should a particular earthquake hit our area is that most houses that are bolted down will be fine. The question is my house bolted down? I don't know. You can look by crawling under it, but there are a lot of people who don't do that. And it might be something to talk about, you know, an inspection, a fee. I'd love to see private industry do this. I don't know if they do. But to go under people's houses and let them know if their house is bolted down. I know you can get your house bolted down for a price.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to know if maybe some of our senior citizen population had the opportunity. I think I may have added this to on the issues list. Talk about what could we do to make people feel safer at home. And the joint meeting of Metro, I thought it could be pretty hot. It turned out to be pretty mild. And, you know, we did address a number of employment lands issues and agreed to work together to try and, you know, focus on resolving some of those issues. So that was great. And then finally, because, you know, the importance of our dog shelter, which Mike Besner, I believe, manages, who is in our transportation department or engineering department, I thought it'd be important that, you know, the best way to save a puppy at the shelter is to adopt them. So tonight we're featuring Wendy. And Wendy's coming up on the screen. Let me think. There she is.
Oh, yeah.
Wendy is a very nice dog, wagging tail, and she's a very active girl who needs an equally active family with older children because she has a tendency to knock kids down with her excitement. She's been, also being the only pet would be ideal. She likes car rides and a gentle leader for walks. She does not like loud noises. Even squeaky toys startle her. Stop by the dog shelter and she will be waiting for you. Wendy weighs 54 pounds. That's probably why the little child thing might be an issue. So if you're interested, stop by the dog shelter or and visit with Wendy, or you can call them at 503-655-8628, or look it up on the web at www.clackamas.us/dogs/. So have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday, we had our Willamette Falls Working Group meeting, and we were busy finalizing our fundraising letter to try to raise funds to help with the reopening, repair, and eventual transfer of the locks to hopefully the state of Oregon. The Senate and the legislature approved Senate Bill 131, which is setting up a task force to figure out how to do the three things I just mentioned. And the state task force is important because, after all, we would like the state to take it over. And so we are selecting our members as prescribed in the law who would be well-suited to take on this endeavor with us. I have my Molalla paper here because there's just great news on the front page. A recent high school graduate named Luis Mendoza has been elected the state FFA president for Oregon, and that's a very, very big deal. In fact, he's postponing his freshman year of college to serve as state president. It's an honor, but it's also a lot of work. He says, I want people to know that FFA has something to offer for everyone, and focus on student skills and qualities. He says, I've done ag issues, I've done parliamentary procedures, food science, job interview, and landscape design. His goals are to increase membership, and he says, being Hispanic, I want to show that other people who are in other ethnic groups can be successful in the FFA. That's very, it's an honor for our education system at Molalla, and also an honor for Molalla.
Hey, I'm a city boy. What's FFA?
Future Farmers of America.
is.
Yes. As you know, we have an extension and FFA district in the county to support these efforts. And then last week I mentioned that this brochure came in my water bill for my business in Molalla, and then on the front page, the city of Molalla is asking the community to conserve water on a voluntary basis. The city of Molalla receives its water from the Molalla River. It is a rain river, it's not a snow river, so it's running pretty narrow right now. And they're asking for voluntary compliance with this, to get people used to doing things like not washing their hands when the water is running. So in the event that stricter measures need to be taken, we're kind of prepared for that. Last week I read three of some of the conservation issues that people in the area out there can use. And you know, it's probably good for all of us, as most of our state is under a drought. They say sweep your driveway instead of washing it with a hose. Take a 5-minute shower. Or if you take a bath, just fill it half full. I think we can get clean on that. And then finally, water your lawn in the early morning instead of midday. Now, being a farmer, we always did that because we knew that the water wouldn't evaporate before it hit the ground. Also, in addition to that, Acting ODFW Director Brett Brownscombe says that tomorrow they will limit fishing for salmon, steelhead, and trout, as well as sturgeon, because the water temperature on our rivers and streams and outlets is too warm. Oregon rivers and streams, due to drought conditions, low snowpack, low in-stream flows, extreme weather, and highly elevated stream temperatures, has resulted in lethal conditions for fish. And they're mandating that if you go fishing in those areas, that no daily fishing after 2 p.m. Of course, and if you're in a lake, I think you're okay on that. As it goes on to say, so they say 2 p.m. is the hottest part of the day, and they just don't want people out fishing for some reason. So that goes to with the rest of our water restrictions, drought conditions across Oregon. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never really seen a situation like we have this summer. So let's just be careful as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I went to the Lake Oswego Veterans of Foreign Wars barbecue. It was a good barbecue. It was half a chicken, for goodness sakes, for $10. But I want to mention I saw Ken Kraft there. So many of you, you know Ken, outstanding leader and veteran who had some more injuries himself. And I just want to shout out and pray for that man who's going through some surgery here real soon in relationship to those injuries. So Ken Kraft is a great asset to this county. I was a speaker at the Home Builders this last week. That's why I missed the meeting that Jim took care of, but it went real well. I think I was well received. I went to a core values lunch and learn conducted by our county administrator, Mr. Krupp, this week. And it was very interesting because, you know, it really allowed our employees to enter into some questions about how spirit works. And but I thought it was an appropriate thing to do. And Don gave credit where credit was due. That it was an idea of one of the employees in the room to do that reach out. It was well attended. Not sure who was there, but it didn't matter because Don bought a pizza for everybody, and we really enjoyed that. Thank you, Don. We had that joint meeting with Metro. That did go very well. I think Metro, in a lot of ways, they think that we're the boogeyman, and they're scared of us a little bit, and maybe that's good. But I think they were expecting something different, and we delivered. It was interesting to see the Metro councilors talk, which exceeded what our commissioners said by probably about 4 times. And I think that they learned a lot about the county, and frankly, I was a little disappointed that they had to learn. They should be knowing everything about our county, but we'll work on that in the future, as Commissioner Bernard said. I invited, I mentioned before the Through a Child's Eyes program that I found at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility. It's run by the Wilsonville Rotary Foundation. I'm the steering committee chair. It's been going on for 13 years, and it brings mothers, inmate mothers, together with their children in a very relaxed setting. As I said, popcorn, candy, gum, crafts, games, free books, everything you can imagine. I do want to thank our commissioners. Martha was not available, but Commissioners Smith, Bernard, and Savas all attended, and our sheriff. And the people that attended on Saturday were quite delighted to find that the governor showed up. And there's a couple articles out there about that. I was particularly impressed with the governor because, unlike her predecessor, she is a people person. She waded into the crowd, shook the hands of inmates, shook the hands of staff members and volunteers, found out what it was all about. And it's bigger than I think the sheriff said. I had no idea it was this big, but it is very big over a 2-day period. I think we neared serving about 1,000 meals over 2 days. And it's prison food. We upgraded a little bit, the hamburger and tomatoes specifically. Anyway, it was great, and I do appreciate the participation, and it's successful and continues to be exactly that. We made some decisions this week. There is an outdoor burning ban, and like everybody, there's been several fires. Everybody's read about it. I think careless cigarettes, a campfire here and there, but everybody should be cognizant that just why burn anything? If you're going to smoke, you know, stomp it into your ashtray or something, but don't throw it outside. I was appointed the Fair Board liaison this week, and I'm looking forward to the fantastic pie they serve there at every meeting, well, almost every meeting. Happy to say that our clinics, which we had a problem with not that long ago, our health clinics were in trouble. We had to loan them money, and they had to use all their reserves, but really through great management and a plan written by the interim director, and that is Richard Swift, quickly recovered, and now the required contingency, which is about $8 million, it sounds like a great deal of money, and it is, that only operates that clinic for the clinics for 90 days. And that finally, they've just achieved that mark. So kudos to H3S and to Richard Swift for that. Glad to see they're back and recovered. Now we need to talk about the future of their program and see if we can maintain and sustain that. We will have a joint BCC, Board of County Commissioner, Planning Commission meeting on marijuana, which has been a huge subject. And frankly, this has taken a great deal of time away from our staff on things that we had them working on, including our zoning and development ordinance 5-year review. They're in their 3rd year now, and it's taken valuable time away because we got to deal with pot. So we will see how that comes about. We do have in place rules on medical marijuana that certainly apply to recreational. It is sad, of course, that now the state's going to up that and on temporary rules allow recreational marijuana to be sold in medical facilities. Yeah, I would bet you that every commissioner up here voted against Measure 91, but now it's the law of the land, we have to deal with it, so we will do so appropriately. We also discussed the nature of employment land needs, and I think I've heard that we're going to do the DOT method as to what particularly and individually each commissioner thinks needs to be added to our not only our urban growth boundary, but initially our urban growth reserves. But we believe we have proved through the Johnson report that we are at least 1,100 acres short of job employment land. And so we will continue to work on that and maintain that with Metro, especially our partners at Metro, to make sure that we get our fair share. If you think about it really briefly, Washington County lost 2,100 acres when they did the grand bargain. Damascus is melting down. And so you say, what about the 2040 plan? Isn't there supposed to be balance and equity? So there's missing acres here somewhere, and I believe Metro has to take charge and replenish those acres, and we're here volunteering that we can have it here in Clackamas County. Lastly, I would like to say, I usually do the unsung hero of the week, but I think this is appropriate, especially for considering this weather. It's heating up out there, ladies and gentlemen, and our energy assistance team has been hard at work reaching county residents that could benefit from the services provided by our energy assistant program. The team connected with many households to educate on the available benefits, including reaching out to local food pantries. Residents who remember the team from the past experience and warmly welcomed them anew, and several mobile home parks where low-income residents were very excited to learn about the assistance provided through this program. Public outreach was able to occur in multiple languages to have the broadest reach, and the residents who were talked to said they were extremely pleased and had all their questions answered by the team. Oftentimes, these folks are in distress, and this kind of community outreach helps to mitigate the effects of, and this is not only hot weather, but cold weather as well. Hot and cold weather to reduce energy costs and support positive community interaction. We would like to recognize and thank the Energy Assistance team for their efforts. If you or someone you know needs energy assistance, more information can be found on our county website or by calling the general number of the county. This has been very valuable over a period of years, and certainly it's one thing to save the energy for the good of the green, but it's also to help those seniors penny pinch every way they can and make sure they can remain in their homes. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it here. Oh, my gosh, 42 minutes. I don't know if that broke the record or not. Does it? They say so. There being no further business. Oh, wait. I have one more thing I've forgotten. The BCC town halls. And
Foul up our record.
Well, give me a minute. Well, I'll read fast. In September on the 22nd, the topic will be Ensure Safe and Healthy Communities. The location will be Clackamas County Event Center, otherwise known as the Fairgrounds in Canby, Oregon, at 6 p.m. Then, on October 28th, the last of the calendar year, the topic will be Honor, Utilize, Promote, and Invest in our natural resources location appropriately, the resort at the mountain in Welch's, Oregon. The time of that will be also 6 p.m. I can't wait for the drive home on that one, right? There being no further business before the Clackamas County Commission this day, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned. 43 minutes. Yeah.